It's because we don't have the same definition of communism.
People die like on TV all the time.
We don't immigrate people in here and assimilate them into our country. The East will.
You should have some respect for the people who founded the country. I don't think that's really that radical.
I don't know, if Trump got assassinated, I might celebrate that.
Have I been drinking today?
Because there's a couple signs that are like, everyone is welcome, everyone is welcome. What is a Canadian?
Hi, so I've been interviewing people in the field for a while now, and I'm always very careful to make sure if I record someone and post it on the internet, I try not to make them look stupid. Even if they disagree with me, even if we're like political opponents, I'm like, I don't want to unfairly, edit this person to make them look bad. I want to give them and their ideas a fair shot, Like maybe this person was kind of like off kilter, and so like, is it really fair to post that? But ever since the assassination of Charlie Kirk, yeah, I don't really care anymore. If you're going to come up to me and hash out some ideas and I think they're really stupid and you embarrass yourself, I don't really care anymore. I'm just going to post it. Before I thought, hey, even if I disagree with them, I should still try to make them, look good. Maybe I caught them in an off moment. But no, not anymore. Not anymore. So without further ado, here is me having various conversations with different communists. I've said commies as a joke before, but sure enough, you'll find out some of these people they think communism is the best ideas there are, despite the bad track record. So yeah, without further ado, enjoy me talking to communists.
Hey, Nigel, any comments on the death of Charlie Kirk? Years of dehumanizing and demonizing right-wing conservatives, and then he gets killed. This is something that the Anti-Hate Network does. You're a board member, correct?
All death is horrible. It really is. Do you agree?
Absolutely.
It's horrible. I know. I just want to make sure it's clear. All death, everyone's death is horrible. I have a 10-year-old son, and so I feel bad for his child. It's horrible that it happened to him. It is. Anyway, thank you very much for your question.
Well, I'm just concerned because people were celebrating his death. They were saying, death to fascists, I don't care. And you're part of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network, which regularly dehumanizes and demonizes fascists. And you even associate with anti-fascists. You associate with anti-fascists who say they want to punch fascists. So do you feel guilty at all for smearing right-wing people? Nigel, do you feel guilty at all for dehumanizing right-wing people?
I don't want you guys...
Now Charlie Kirk is dead because of organizations like Anti-Hate. Did you want to make any comments on that? Now Charlie Kirk's children has no father because of smear merchants like yourself at the Anti-Hate Network.
So again...
Very good, very good. Running away from the conversation. There you have it, folks. That's it. I mean, they mischaracterize people as being fascist, as being right-wing, and then people take it upon themselves. They dox people. They coordinate and essentially echo the exact same sentiments as Antifa. Antifa is a violent organization. Some call it a terrorist organization. And if you talk to Antifa members, I'm sure they would say that they were happy that Charlie Kirk was dead. This is an organization that tries to say that we're going to stop political violence and that we're going to stop all of the hate, when clearly they foment hatred against regular right-wing people. How's it going? Good. Did you want to chat?
Are you trying to harass people that weren't interested in chatting with you? So I thought if you wanted to harass someone, you could harass me.
Have you heard of the Canadian Anti-Hate Network?
The what?
Canadian Anti-Hate Network.
No.
So they claim to use all of their resources to fight fascists and to fight racists. And the problem is they only focus on right-wing people. They don't focus on any left-wing violence. Like, they're probably not going to disavow the death of Charlie Kirk, for example.
Generally speaking, people on the left wouldn't consider themselves fascists. So if an organization is meant to take down fascists, then I don't understand why they would go after people on the left.
Well, they say that they stop hate of all types and they try to prevent hateful movements, but they've also explicitly said, actually, we only focus on the far right.
Okay.
So, did you see? Do you know who Charlie Kirk is?
I heard in the news that he was assassinated.
Yeah.
And that I don't know if I read the right article, but apparently they found the guy.
I mean, there's a lot of information. I'm more curious because there's people like more left-wing people celebrating his death. There was actually a Niagara regional councilor who were like, she was triggered by people showing sympathy for Charlie Kirk and his family.
Sorry, is there a question there or?
I guess what is your reaction to that? Somebody who is triggered in a bad way that someone would show sympathy for someone who just got assassinated.
Well, I think people get triggered by different things, right? So I think you'd have to ask her that question. I'm not really sure what your question is to me about it.
So someone
celebrate Charlie Kirk's death?
Yeah.
Okay, so then you can just come right out and ask the question. No, I don't celebrate death of any kind, but I do think that for some reason his death is getting a lot more attention than the death of anyone else, and that I find very interesting. So
I think it's probably because he was killed on camera on a college campus under a banner that said "Prove me wrong." That's probably why it got so much attention. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
People die like on TV all the time. Like people die on camera. Like people film bad things happening.
I guess, what is your response when people do celebrate the death of someone like Charlie Kirk? What's your response to that?
I mean, they probably have their reasons. I don't know, if Trump got assassinated, I might celebrate that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. And why would you be happy about that?
It'd be probably best for the planet because he just is a really awful person. And I think his life has led to the unnecessary death of a lot of people. And I think that if he died, I wouldn't be, personally, I wouldn't be very sad about it.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Like,
I know more about Trump than I know about Charlie Kirk, so.
All right. So do you think political violence is a good solution to things, or like, do you support political violence?
Well, sometimes unfortunately, sometimes violence speaks. Unfortunately, sometimes it doesn't. There's violence happening everywhere, and sometimes it's louder for some reason. I don't know. I don't think that it's an answer, certainly, but what's the question that we're asking? I mean,
like, well, should we hash it out in a debate, or should we fight each other? That's basically the question. Personally,
people here are here to debate. Like, personally, like, I don't know, what are we having this conversation for? Like, are you trying to trick me into saying that I celebrate Charlie Kirk's death? Like, is that what your channel is all about? Or do you want to have conversations about what is important to me in this city? We're talking about someone in the US. Like, we live in Canada. What are you saying about Canadians? What are you doing for Canada? You personally. What are you doing for your country?
There's a Niagara regional councilor that's in Canada, and she was triggered by people showing sympathy for a conservative who got assassinated. To me, that shows like a very dark and evil thing, in my opinion. Like, we can't even agree. Like, if somebody dies, I get upset. I don't care what their politics are. But this person's like, well, if I disagree with their politics, I don't care if they died. To me, that's like shockingly immoral and shockingly evil.
Hey, but also, what about the death penalty then? What do you think about the death penalty?
We don't have the death penalty in Canada.
Well, we don't have a Charlie Kirk in Canada. You're not asking me about Canadian politics. I don't understand what your point of is being here. I don't understand why you're filming this. And I don't understand why why you're trying to approach people who don't want to fucking talk to you.
Because anti-hate mischaracterizes people as fascists and racists. And then Antifa sees that and they're like, oh, I can be violent against this person. And then CBC is like, yeah, you can be violent against that person. And then right-wing people are getting hatred fomented against them, and then violence is being inflicted upon them.
What are you doing to diffuse polarization and violence in Toronto?
I'm trying to explain it to you.
No, you're not. You're asking me stupid questions about a guy who doesn't even have anything to do with either of us. Ask me about the people who are sleeping on the other side of this park because they have nowhere to fucking live. Did you go over and take them a granola bar and a fucking juice box? Did you see them sleeping over there? You probably walked right fucking past them.
Why do you think our shelters are filled up?
I have a lot of answers about that, actually. Why do you fucking think?
I think that an easy way to prevent that would stop the radical mass immigration that's coming in here. So many people are coming.
It has nothing to fucking do with immigration.
You don't think our filled up shelters have anything to do with immigration?
You're down on immigration, right? I'm an immigrant. So, so what's the problem with being an immigrant? You're First Nations, you're from
she is saying, have you seen the people who can't even get inside of shelters? And I'm like, yeah, there's a massive influx of people. There's a massive influx of immigrants coming here as well, and it's overwhelming all of our systems. The wait times, and have you seen the wait times in the emergency room? Have any of you guys seen the wait times in emergency rooms? What do you think that comes from? Do you think inviting more and more and more people is going to be better for our healthcare system and the waiting rooms, or do you think inviting more and more people here is going to be better for the shelter system that's already overwhelmed, or worse?
So
these are good questions.
Yeah, I'll answer your question.
Sure.
May I?
No.
Okay, no problem. Okay, so I'm actually working on a documentary right now about homelessness in Toronto from the perspective of frontline workers in shelters and drop-in centers in Toronto. There is a huge rhetoric in the shelter system, in the encampments, that immigrants are taking their beds. And look, I don't know whose responsibility it is to take care of refugees when they get here, but Canada is a very affluent place. We have lots of places for people to go. They shouldn't be sleeping on the street, first of all. Second of all, this country hasn't built social affordable housing in 40 years. So that's problem number one. Number two is, if you first of all, there's 90,000 people in Ontario alone on a list for rent geared to income that have been on the list for decades, some of them. And if you are not a senior or you do not have a disability, you have absolutely no fucking chance of getting a place to live in this place. So does that answer your question, or?
Well, not really. I guess if you're doing a documentary on this, does immigration levels have anything to do? Does it even hit your radar in terms of trying to address this problem that you care about?
That's actually why I'm here. Yeah. Go ahead. Yeah, I'm thirsty actually.
What year did your family immigrate to this country?
My dad immigrated here when he was 1, and my mom was actually a descendant of the United Empire Loyalists.
So what would you say if someone said that you and your family should leave because there's too many people here and we shouldn't have immigrants? I know you got here a while ago, but you're still an immigrant. What would you say if someone told you to leave? Because you're an immigrant.
If somebody has an opinion, I would be like, okay, that's your opinion. And then I would look at the situation and see if it was viable or not.
No, it's not a situation. Someone is telling you and your family to leave.
Yeah.
You know why? Because you're an immigrant.
So on one side of my family, we've been here for generations, like hundreds and hundreds of years.
Immigrated
Are
here.
you native?
Right?
Do
You
have
immigrated
any
here,
native
right?
in your blood?
So there was some of my
Are you Aboriginal to this country, to this land?
some of my bloodline was here before the country was founded.
Okay,
So-
are you native? Are you Aboriginal? Do you
No,
have your native card?
No.
Okay, so then you're a fucking immigrant.
But do you guys have any respect for the founding staff of the country that came here and actually developed the land and actually built the infrastructure?
Colonization, use the right word.
Yeah. Do you have any respect for the people who helped build these
Do I have
cities?
respect for colonizers and racists? No.
All right. Did you take the bus here today? Did you take the roads here today? Do you have where do you think your license came from? Like where do you think these institutions came from? I'm so with all the respect to the indigenous, they did not build the Canadian government. They did not establish the railroad. And it's no disrespect to them.
You don't think
No, this is just about history, right? It's just about recognizing historical facts. So are you bailing on our conversation or what? She bailed.
So my question is you've come here.
If you guys are enjoying this, make sure to like, share, and subscribe. I should be working on a documentary right now on free speech in Canada. But here I am making this video because it was an event nearby. I thought it was relevant to try and bring it to you guys. If you want to support more content like this so I can hire more editors and kind of get in the field more often, then please send an e-transfer to gregwycliffe@protonmail.com. Let's get back to the show. Thanks for your support.
Here, right? To Christie Pitts. You know the history of Christie Pitts, right? You know why this is meaningful?
Tell me more about the history of Christie Pitts.
Well, you know that
in 1933 there was a riot.
Yeah, but do you know why there was a riot?
I think it was like Nazis versus, or something like that. Nazis versus.
No, you see, you're not understanding. The issue was immigration because it was 1933 and there were no jobs and people were losing their homes and people were really stressed out and they wanted someone to blame. And they said, you know what? Let's blame the immigrants. And this is really familiar. And so, unfortunately, like a lot of the areas south of here in 1933 were immigrants.
The immigrants were then?
All white.
Sorry?
Mostly European stock.
No, they were actually Italians who are not considered.
Oh, you don't consider Italian white?
I don't think white is even really a term that means much. But then they didn't. Then they didn't.
At that time, if you want to respect history, at that time, Italian people were not white.
Yeah, no, that wasn't considered white. You could rent to them north of here and stuff. And so.
Well, and now we have Indians coming in here, and we're told that they're just as Canadian as us. Do you guys agree with that?
The subject. The point is.
No, but do you think that's a good question though, isn't it?
Would you tell all Italians to leave right now? Would you tell all Italians to leave here because they're immigrants? Would you? Yes or no?
Right now, we have an immigration, like so many different programs that are incentive.
All the Italians here.
But my point is, like, in terms of history, right? I'm a historian, okay? You're saying that all the problems come down to immigration, but we've heard this story
I'm
before.
not saying all of the problems. I'm saying there's a lot of problems. And right now, we have an immigration system right now that's incentivizing all types of different people to come here and to take advantage of our social services, and it's clearly unsustainable. Because we have
How many kids do you have?
I don't have any right now.
Yeah, you're the problem. You know why we need immigration? Because you haven't fathered 14 children yet. Sure. So if you want to step up and repopulate this country, maybe you should do that.
I think that's definitely part of it, absolutely. But right now it's
by the way. But the fact is that the reason we need immigration is because our tax base is shrinking and our population is aging, and now we're supporting a large amount of elderly citizens, right? Who have,
So do you think through policy we should incentivize people to have more kids, or we should incentivize more foreigners to come here and just sort of like set up shop?
I think through policy we should not be basically.
From history, and that this argument that immigrants are the problem is what ended up leading, unfortunately, to the rise of fascism with Hitler. And I think we recognize that, in fact, what Hitler was trying to do was a bad idea. It's not something that we as Canadians get behind.
Wait, what does Hitler have to do with this?
I just explained it. You had the rise of fascism in the 30s in response to hardship and with the attempt to look and find a scapegoat. And they found scapegoats. And in Canada, one of the scapegoats was immigrants. And we're hearing the exact same arguments again. So do we want to actually walk down that path? Because we know where that path goes. And I don't think it's where most Canadians want to be. Like learning from history.
I just don't see how is our healthcare sustainable at the current rate? How is the housing crisis or even the job market sustainable at the current rate of immigration?
It's not immigrants' fault.
How is having a continued influx of people going to help any of these problems?
I'll tell you exactly why. Because they come here and they pay taxes and they build the roads that you drove here on today. Immigrants pay taxes.
The new immigrants build the roads here.
No, they pay taxes, which pays for the roads.
So I'm talking about how our existing services, like like the emergency room, like healthcare. No, but what about the other side of that? Because you're saying they're coming here and it's only benefits. It's only benefits, right?
Let's just say we cut off immigration right where it's convenient for you. So after your family immigrated here, then we stop immigration.
Okay, you're just straw manning my argument.
No, but if we did that, no, this is my argument. Without immigrants to this country is nothing. It's literally nothing. It would be a bunch of inbred, scurvy-having, European, starved-to-death settlers, except they wouldn't have survived without the indigenous people. Now I'm going on a tangent. The point is, this country was built by slavery and genocide, and when you're saying that we should respect the history of Canada, I believe that I agree with you, and the way that I do that is by understanding the history of Canada, which is genocide, slavery, and just resource extraction as basically a colony for the empire. It was written in French back then, and now it's the global corporate empire.
So do you think there's anything worthwhile about Canadian history, or it's all just colonization and genocide?
Well, those are the most important parts that you should be focused on. If you want to talk about John A. Macdonald and like some random politicians from a few hundred years ago, you can do that, but I think it's relevant that they were so savagely racist that you would blush at some of the things that have been said by the founding fathers of Canada.
You know, the irony of that is Sir John A. and the leaders back then, they were probably like the least racist among the population then, and just in terms of what the standard was, right? Like, if we want to be real,
what's your point?
Like, do you think there were like progressive Antifa people back then?
No, but what's your point?
My point is the leaders back then were probably the least racist, yet here you are applying a 21st century standard to like hundreds of years ago. Like, it's kind of absurd, you know?
But wanting, seeing an entire group of people as subhuman and wanting to kill them all, that's not something that was okay back then, because it was those good old days, you know?
Yeah.
Like, what? Like, are you saying that if we were living 200 years ago, the idea of dehumanizing and killing an entire group of people is okay because it happened 200 years ago? Is that your argument? No, it's not. Obviously, no one would say that.
Yeah.
But you're trying to say that it happened a long time ago, so it's different. But it still happened. It still happened, though. And
Like, going back into your lineage, do you think there'd be people who like weren't racist and pieces of shit as well?
no, they were all racist pieces of shit, too.
I guess you're guilty too, man.
Guilty.
Oh my God, you're guilty of being you're a descendant of a racist.
Yes, I am.
Yeah, it's horrible.
Well,
So no one's innocent then.
no, let me tell you.
So no one's innocent, right?
No, you don't understand. It's racism that's horrible. Racism is the problem, right? And so the people back then were doing it and it was bad, and now people now are doing it and it's bad.
Right, but you're applying like a 21st century standard to like hundreds of years
So I'm
ago.
applying a 21st century to the 21st century right now. And when you are coming here and trying to blame all society's problems on immigrants,
No, not doing that.
you.
Not doing that. Not doing that. You're mischaracterizing all my views. First of all, you're saying that racism is wanting to kill all black people or something. That's what you just said a few moments ago. You mentioned wanting to kill an entire group of people because they're
I'm talking about
different.
indigenous
The
people.
indigenous people were the
Yeah.
genocide in this country.
Yeah. Sir John A. Macdonald, maybe you should read up a little bit.
Have you heard of the Iroquois genociding other tribes?
That's called a whataboutism. Have you heard of that logical fallacy?
We care about genocide and killing groups of people, right?
Have you heard about the whataboutism
No,
logical
but we're talking about genocide and killing groups of people, are we not?
And I'm talking about the whataboutism logical fallacy. Have you heard of it?
I'm talking about Iroquois killing groups of people.
I'm talking about the whataboutism logical fallacy. Have you heard of it?
I think I found an equal equivalent of genocide, and you don't want to engage with the conversation
And
because it's obviously.
It's not equivalent. What does that even mean? An equal
Look,
We're
do you want me to
talking
say
about
The Iroquois people genocided a whole bunch of different tribes that weren't them.
It has nothing to do with what we're talking about.
You're
though.
talking about why genocide is bad.
No, I'm talking about you coming here and blaming the problems of society on recent immigrants, and that is racist. That's what I'm saying.
So I think you're mischaracterizing pretty well all of my points.
Maybe I am.
How do you think we're going to fix the healthcare crisis and the housing crisis, for example? Do you think that
I'll tell you.
Tax the rich.
He's right. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
That's a good start, yeah.
Add more money, then
so just taxing rich people will help get down wait
everyone should
times?
get vaccinated. Have you been vaccinated?
I'm completely unvaccinated.
Right.
Proudly.
So did you know that you are a disproportionate burden on the medical system statistically?
I haven't been to the hospital in a long time.
Statistically, not anecdotally, statistically.
Have any of your vaccinations? Your childhood vaccinations you didn't get as a child?
No, like those vaccines I have. I don't have the COVID vaccine.
Could have given you brain damage, those vaccines.
Against measles.
I know someone who got a heart condition after it, unfortunately.
It's called an anecdote. Have you heard of that?
He has a heart condition. Maybe you should show some sympathy to someone who has a heart condition after getting the vaccine. Or I guess you don't care about people who get vaccine injured. It does
Show
happen.
sympathy for anyone. We're having a debate here, and
You been drinking today by chance?
have I been drinking today? Alcohol?
Yeah.
Do you think that the things I've said lead you to believe that I'm under the influence of alcohol?
No, you kind of got a little.
I think you just have that effect on people. You know, they get tired.
I get people wobbly, eh?
No, because it's just like talking around and around in a circle. That's very interesting.
Would you guys say you have like you fetishize people who are non-white? Would you say you fetishize people who are not non-white?
I don't think you have any right to ask that question. I think it's.
But my sexual rate, like
I think
what
it's
I find
weird.
No, it doesn't have to be sexual. Just like in general, like do you like fetishize?
No, it doesn't have to be sexual, but it's a fucking weird non sequitur question.
Like I'm your mother's age, and you're asking me like what gets me hot.
Do you think you
Like,
fetishize?
No. I didn't mean it in a sexual way. I just think that.
That's what fetishizing is. That's what the word
No, it doesn't have to be. I actually think that it doesn't have to be sexual, personally. However, what if I ask you, like, no, see, I don't want to get into these weird questions because honestly, like, come on. You came here with an agenda, or at least originally, you wanted to talk about immigration and how, without saying it explicitly, you're kind of insinuating that the current immigration system is taxing our society. Is that correct?
Like taxing, more specifically, it's straining it in various ways. Yeah.
Yes.
Sure. Yeah.
So it's your position that if we removed all, or what, stopped immigration maybe, then
Change the number of the policies and essentially change the incentives. Right now we have a lot of incentives to get people here and to, in some cases, live off of social assistance and to not contribute.
Are you aware of the last 5 bills that received the royal assent?
I'm not.
I'm sorry, I don't know last bills.
Are you aware of the last 5 bills that received royal assent?
Last 5 bills in Parliament?
Yes.
No, I don't know. Yeah. Do you?
I've read them. I've
Like-
read up on 5 of them. I can recall maybe 2 of them. So one
Does
of
this
them,
have to do with immigration or?
No, it has to do with you speaking on policy and then not being familiar with what's been passed.
I mean, dude, there's 338 different parliamentarians. Legislation is passed through all the time. I focus on specific policies. Right? Like, I don't pretend to be an expert on everything that goes through the Canadian Parliament because I think some affect us more than others, and I think immigration policy is one of the worst.
Currently, there's about 80 bills trying to make their way through the Senate and the House of Commons, so not like 300.
No, there's 338 parliamentarians.
Oh, right. So those are people who are representing MPPs and MPs.
Yeah.
Okay. So what are some of the policies that you're familiar with regarding immigration that you...
It looks like you're just trying to like get me in a gotcha. Like I don't know that much about politics.
Your point. Okay, so then can I explain some of my points?
What do you?
So I have like a problem with immigration as well.
Okay.
And it starts with that foreign international students pay 3 times as much as domestic students. They're paying 3 times as much, and they don't receive adequate housing, adequate equipment, adequate food. I go to school, I get the same degree as an international student, but they have to work 2 jobs and then work twice as hard as well just to get the same level of education as me. That's not a very equitable situation.
Sure.
That is one example, having the institutions lower the cost of international students' tuition. By lowering that cost, they don't have to work 2 jobs and take up all the jobs that are available. Life becomes easier. Or keep it the same, but give them the housing, give them the equipment, give them the food, the meal plans. Don't make them pay extra for it.
Yeah.
Do you think that's fair?
I mean, I think we're already kind of in a housing crisis in general. I think that, you know, if you look at the wait times in the emergency room out east, like, you know, the wait times in the emergency rooms people are dying on waiting lists for surgeries and all types of things. I think if you objectively look at, there's too many people that our institutions can handle. I think that, you know, I don't disagree. Like, you make a good point. Maybe that would free up some jobs, but it's like, I just don't think our institutions can handle the amount of people coming in right now.
Here's the second part of it. Because the institutions make so much more money on international students, there's an incentive to import these international students into areas where there's already high people.
I agree.
You know what I mean?
I think that's an irresponsible program. And as I was been saying to these people, they are incentivizing people to come in and
move into areas where there's already plenty of people, not enough jobs, not enough housing.
Well, and do you know, you talked about the rich earlier. Do you know who benefits the most from mass immigration? It's the rich.
Yeah,
because it drives down the wages.
Right.
They want to import cheap foreign labor.
Right.
So it's like, in that context, do you want to keep helping these rich people by keeping the tap on with mass immigration for all this cheap labor?
I think that's a great point. I don't think that by cutting their access to cheap labor is the most effective way to sort of rein them in, to hold them back, to keep them from growing.
You're talking about the ruling class?
Yeah, I think there's other steps we can take to sort of, dispel the inequalities between the ruling class and the laborers. And preventing these migrant workers from coming is not one of them.
Okay, so you agree that with mass immigration, it does allow more cheap foreign labor?
Yes.
But
I think there are other
we think we should keep helping out the rich, these massive corporations with the cheap foreign labor. We should keep the cheap foreign labor going.
That's a byproduct, an unfortunate byproduct.
No, I'm telling you, like the people who want to make this policy to have this influx of cheap foreign labor, it is the rich. It is right.
I'm saying that the rich, the ruling class benefiting from these migrant workers is an unfortunate byproduct. It is,
and I'm telling you, this is the main purpose that they want mass immigration, is for the cheap labor.
Right. I believe it's their main purpose. That is their main purpose.
So it's not the byproduct, it's the main reason. And that's why, we'll put up with our social services being overwhelmed, because it helps our business. We don't care.
It's the main incentive of the ruling class, but it is not the main incentive of those moving here. It is
for sure.
The main incentive of what the immigration policies, the system is supposed to be for. The main incentive of that is to have people come over who are valuable, who are an asset to our country, provide to the economy, build our infrastructure, build our economy, and eventually just have more people who are providing, more benefit to this country. That's the main incentive of immigration. It's been bastardized by the ruling class.
How do we know that the rich aren't just telling you that to support immigration?
I don't think that they're telling us that at all. It's a good thing. Yeah, they could be saying it. It's not where I hear it from, right? Okay. This is like my own personal...
Well, obviously it's not going to be some rich fat guy who's like, yeah, we love immigration because of this.
Sure. Why do you think that the immigration policy is what it is? Like, what do you think's the reason that the government, the rich, are bringing people here?
Yeah, so, if you look across the world, you'll see a lot of different countries that are struggling. Maybe they're not like a third world country, maybe they're like a second world country. But the thing is, if you're a rich and powerful corporation, you kind of love countries to be destitute. You love them to be suffering because you can enslave them. You can make them go at your little, workshop. And I think I'm very cynical. I'm very cynical. I think that the rich and powerful are trying to get first world countries and slowly denigrate them,
Clearly, you're here to tell us all about the evils of the rich people and the corporations. You're not here blaming it on immigrants, right? Because
There's more to it.
Understand who the real people that are causing the problem are, right?
I never blamed it on immigrants. I'm here to change policy. You kept telling me, oh no, it's because of and it's like, no, this is part of an incentive. It's geeky.
Saying that.
If I may,
For sure.
changing policy is important. So why not spend more focus on getting the lobbies out of politics, getting the corporations out of the politics?
The thing is, though, like, that sounds great. Like, eating the rich sounds great. Getting rid of the lobbyists sounds great.
Politicians alone.
Thank you.
Sounds great.
It sounds great, but how do you do that? How do you get rid of lobbyists? Like the way that power works
the same
is
manner in which people are here to get, to promote anti-immigration policy by being in mass, voicing their opinion. It's the same way to voice the opinion to get the corporation lobbies out of politics.
yeah, and then all the communists march those people out of here. Were you here? That happened a few hours ago.
I don't know about all these communists. I just want to get the corporations
I didn't
out
mean
of
to
politics.
assume the agenda or the ideology. I don't know if they're communists or not, but
Hey, speaking of communism, this is a bit of an aside.
Sure.
But did you know that trees have a root system?
Yeah.
And their root system has a fungus. And this fungus, this mycelium network, transports nutrients and waters across the different trees. So if a tree is cut dead, its stump will be kept alive by the root system of the forest. A tree that has a higher canopy and receives more sunlight and more nutrients.
where are you going with this?
It takes what it needs. It's communism. It takes what it needs and it shares the rest to the rest of the thing. It's a natural system. It's what keeps forests alive. It's just an analogy, right? Some of the best engineering in the world is based off of natural systems.
Can I add
Look
one
at
thing to
stealth
that?
bombers.
There actually is a thing in nature which mimics capitalism. That is the endless growth, right? You see where I'm going with this? It's a virus. It's cancer. Okay. Cancer is a natural example of the capitalist system where all the resources are consumed and it grows out of control.
So, I don't know much about this example, but like I like to make the real world one-to-one example where, like, obviously the Nazis were bad. They killed millions of people. Like if you look at the death toll of communism,
Hold on.
it's the biggest.
The Nazis were Nazism. The Nazis were bad.
Saying it's not as bad.
Usually, I'm trying to speak your language because usually people are like, "Oh, Nazism, we never want that again." But it's like, did you know that communism trumped Nazism by like tens of millions of dead bodies?
It was a dictatorship. It was an authoritarian
But
dictatorship.
it was the communist system, bro.
It was an authoritarian dictatorship. It was a strong man who used populist communist views. He used populist communist views and then he pulled the rug out. He did what he did. So
But why does everyone who I've talked to who has lived under communism totally fucking disagree with you?
I'll tell you exactly.
Tell me why.
It's because we don't have the same definition of communism.
okay.
That's the reason. Because when
So
you
the
say
people,
communism-
so the people who lived under communism in Romania, for example, or for Poland, how is that different from your version?
it's a different thing. We're talking about two different things, and you think communism is one thing, and someone who is pro-communism. Okay, someone who is pro-communism is not pro the death of tens of millions of people. Like, is that what you think? Like, is that what you think he was saying when he said communism?
I think you guys are incredibly naive and don't realize. Okay, hold on. Let me try this. Let me try this. Capitalism sucks because
Labor is a liability.
No.
Sucks because labor is a liability.
Here- no,
If
no.
you don't invest in the labor force, it's considered a suck of money.
Here's my version. Capitalism sucks because there's a lot of power in a very few amount of hands. Would you agree with that?
It's authoritarian.
Well, it creates corruption because a few group of people have like a whole bunch of power.
I don't think that's the reason it's bad. No, I think
Do you think that's part of it?
Yeah, it's all connected, but the reason it's bad is because
Sorry, let me finish my point. What I'm getting at is if you think that's part of the problem, a huge amount of power in a few hands with capitalism, it gets even worse with communism. It's even more power in even fewer hands. And my worldview that I think I really differ from left-wing people is I think all humans suck, actually. I think a lot of them have the capacity for good and evil.
No, I agree. I don't
and
think
it's like,
everybody should have the right to vote. I don't think everyone
let's
should have
go,
the right to vote.
based. Let's go.
I don't. I think it's great. I think it's a privilege. 1 in 3 Ontarians voted in the last provincial election. 1 in 3.
Yeah.
So out of 3 of
Pathetic.
us, only one of us voted.
it was me.
Who's this guy?
I do want to get going. I do want to ask another spicy question, though, which
Before
is...
you go, though,
Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Yep.
Do you believe that the communist policies, the policies that affected all that death toll, do you think that those policies were inherently communist ideas? I don't think famine and starvation is a communist ideal. There was famine, there was withholding of goods from the people. That's not a very communist idea. When people hear communist, they think everybody's gonna have everything.
I think it has a bad track record.
Yes, sir.
It has a bad track record.
I think it has a bad track record, just like America and the Middle East. They have a terrible track record. Last 20 years. And here's the thing, if we don't immigrate people in here and assimilate them into our country, the East will.
The East will.
The East will. Migrant workers are needed. It happens in aquatics, right? So, all right, that's a loss of power. That's a further
What is, because there's a couple of signs that are like everyone is welcome, everyone is welcome. What is a Canadian?
Someone with Canadian citizenship.
So someone who got the piece of paper to say they're a citizen.
I think technically, I guess, yeah.
That's a valid answer.
someone who looks at a maple leaf and smiles. I got like a row of those trees on my neighborhood. Every fall, every spring, it's like nice.
So
What do you think it is?
I think there's layers to it. I think your definition of a Canadian citizen.
One-line answer?
Well, there's a thing called.
We had one-liners. You don't have a one-line answer to your own spicy question? What is a Canadian? One sentence. Go.
A Canadian are the people, the brave explorers, and the people who innovated and settled the land. They are Anglo-Saxon and Francophone, and they're part of the Red Ensign flag. I'm talking about what an ethnic Canadian is based on history.
Oh, now you're changing it to what an ethnic Canadian is based on history. Because your original question was, what is a Canadian?
Is he a Canadian?
Yeah.
Now you're just changing it now.
No, I'm not a pure Canadian. I'm not a pure Canadian. No. But you know, I like
You
to.
still live here, you still work here, you reside here.
Well, right now we have a lot of people coming here who are earning their citizenship, and they're like, "I am Canadian, just like you," and like they speak Hindi, and it's like, well, historically there actually is a thing that is a Canadian ethnically, based on history. It was an ethnogenesis, a little bit of Métis or a little bit of the indigenous mixed with Anglos and Francophones, and it's actually on our original flag, the Red Ensign flag of English, French, Scottish, and Irish. And yeah, so there is a historical precedent to ethnically what a Canadian is.
Argument of semantics. Because if you explained your definition of a Canadian to this person who just earned their Canadian citizenship, they would probably agree and be like, yeah, I don't fit that definition.
Yeah, but hey, I'm just trying to start that conversation though. To realize, like, you know, there's a difference between the Canadian citizen, an ethnic Canadian, and there's also like a heritage Canadian, who's someone who is basically came here before the 70s and was part of settling the West and
One
whatever.
more Canadian you're forgetting,
Yeah,
and they are, you know it,
people in India who haven't moved here yet.
there's one more. Respect their lands and their nation.
Oh, the indigenous.
There's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
one
yeah,
more
true.
set of Canadians you almost left out.
Yeah, true.
They are.
Well, I mentioned them in the founding stock because there was some ethnogenesis there.
Your answer to the question of what is a Canadian
It's
is
2 paragraphs long, yeah.
no. I think your answer is they are an ethnic Canadian, right? That's your answer. And
In
by
terms of what a true Canadian is, like, yeah.
okay, so a Canadian is an ethnic Canadian,
Let's get it, Siddhartha.
And that is what? The French and British?
Yes.
Show us what you got.
Why just the French and British? What about all the other people that...
Because they were here to found the country, and they were actually here before the country was even founded, in some cases for hundreds of years before it was founded. So they were like the European people who are here, who are learning how to canoe and learning how to like
So
whatever.
you think that French and British descendants, people descended from them, are more Canadian than any other Canadian?
Ethnically, yeah. And that's just based on history. Like,
Okay. And so what's your fucking point?
it's just to anchor the conversation in historical fact.
And so what's the conversation?
Well, the conversation when we talk about Pierre Poilievre said, our nationalism is not based on birthplace, bloodline, or background. And I think that's total bullshit. I think that nationalism should be based on the history. We should be recognizing the people who founded the country. And that's the thing. People say, oh, you just want everyone to leave. I'm like, no. But if you're here, you should have some respect for the people who founded the country. I don't think that's really that radical.
Yes, but what about the people that were here before Canada?
That's who I'm talking about.
No, before that.
Well, they're incorporated as well.
You didn't include them. You said French and British, descendants of French and British.
Quite frankly, they weren't so on the ball for like founding Confederation and helping build railroads and helping organize building buildings.
Their society wasn't recognized as a society.
Right, but like to have a nation, you need sovereignty. To have a sovereignty, you need to have like an organizational government. And respectfully,
To have a nation,
the Anglos and the Francos were able to accomplish
to
that.
have a nation is to believe that you have ownership over the land.
Yeah, I think it's more official though when you actually have like the power over the land and like to kind of like manage it.
That comes, well, yeah, to claim ownership, you have to have power, defense. You have to be able to keep your stake in the land.
Yeah, that's sovereignty, yeah.
That's sovereignty. So if a society doesn't believe in land ownership, there's no recognition of the people from the one side.
Hey man, what happened, and like, it's true. I'm not gonna sit here and say like, oh, Indigenous were always treated really well. Like, no, not at all. No, I'm not saying that.
What happened, right? In a few decades, this country is going to be a different place.
Why do you say that?
For exactly why you're here. Because you're afraid that the ethnic makeup of this country is changing.
What do you mean?
You're right.
What do you mean different place?
And in the next few decades, when people like me and you are not the dominant,
The majority.
you know, you know what people are gonna say? You know what happened.
Do you think it'll still be Canada?
I don't know. We'll see. I mean, it'll probably still be called Canada. By the way, Canada is an indigenous word from an indigenous language. Sure. Did you know that?
I did, yeah.
Well, what does that make you like? Why do you think Canada has a?
Well, it turns out the white folk did respect the indigenous, at least to name it after an indigenous term, right? It wasn't all bad. It wasn't all.
Is it your position that the settlers to Canada, the founders, respected the indigenous people? Is that your position?
I wouldn't say it's like just respected them. It was a much more convoluted relationship, I'm sure.
So it's your position that they had a convoluted relationship. That's how you would characterize Canadian history?
I mean, bro, I think there's a reason you avoided the Iroquois question, right?
No, I don't have to avoid that question.
Well, why? Do you want to talk about it?
Fine.
You can make
genocide. It was bad.
You can make the argument that some of these indigenous tribes were savages. You could make that argument.
So it's whataboutism again. But
no, it's totally relevant to what we're talking about.
Let's say that. Let's say some of the native people here were bad and they killed each other and had slaves and all that. Sure. What's your point? It has nothing to do with the argument that the founding Canadians were also bad.
But they created a civilized society, whereas the indigenous people did not. Would you rather live in a place with savages and slaves or with a civilized society?
You're wrong. You have your facts wrong about indigenous societies.
Here's another question for you. Why is it that everybody who's an immigrant or a refugee is trying to move to a white majority country? Why are people trying to move to India? Why are people trying to move to Africa?
Why? It's because the founders, the white people like us, you know, the empire, like we're not really part of the empire, but the empire of, you know, the US and the UK, they're raping the whole world to death.
Okay.
That's why. And all the resources and wealth are concentrated in these countries because we stole it all by lying, murdering, and doing genocide.
So why don't
Day in and day out for hundreds of years.
So why don't these countries steal the resources back instead of like invading these other countries that have the resources?
It's not as simple as that, right? Like it's easier than it sounds.
Well, I don't think it's as simple as that either. If just white people rape the world and that's why.
The U.S. has military.
Yeah, they have photos and images of the English conquest to capitalize on the entire world, filling up the train in artifacts and gold and diamonds.
Like, why doesn't India better itself, for example? Why don't African countries better themselves, for example?
India is bettering itself. All countries are better. I'll tell you the difference between some countries and the empire countries that are, right? Like a country, like not everyone wants to take over the world and steal all the resources from everyone else. Some people just want to be left alone. Like take some countries in Africa.
A lot of the patriots feel that way, by the way. But anyway.
Generally speaking, there are a lot of countries that if the U.S. or if the IMF and the World Bank, which is institutions that are, you know, kind of controlled by the U.S. and the U.K., they are holding countries down with structural adjustment programs and crippling debt that can never be repaid. So it's not that India and other countries aren't bettering themselves, it's that they have our boot on their neck. And it's been like that for centuries.
And I think that Canadian institutions and our government is kind of like dominated by foreign special interests. Foreign interests and also like corporate interests, and they don't really serve the people at all.
If we circle back to lobbies, yeah, the populist interest is not at the heart of the politics. Local, municipal, provincial, federal. But I have a question for you. Sure. Would you consider me maybe not ethnically Canadian, but culturally Canadian?
Well, you have the Blue Jays hat on. I guess it's just a matter of wearing clothing then. Yeah.
Clothing, the way I speak. Yeah. Music I listen to, sure. Right? If I always tell people I hate American pharmaceuticals because Canada invented insulin and patented it for $1 so everybody can have access, and now they can't. It's a whole nother thing, though.
Well, hey, I'll say this: like, you assimilated to some extent, right? You speak English, that's great. And a lot of people are coming here and like, there's signs in like Hindi going up and shit, and it's like,
you're almost there.
Yeah.
So if we look to some of the Scandinavian practices in immigration, they have a lot of migrant workers because a lot of the local people aren't interested in agriculture. Yeah. So the migrant workers that come there, before they're allowed to move into the main metropolis, they have to spend a year or two in the rural areas to help assimilate. Yeah. I'm first generation. I was born here. I was raised in this system. Every morning I sang the Canadian anthem. I can still know it. Oh, Canada. I've assimilated. Currently, for the last 6 years, people have been immigrating here, working hard, and we can talk about the impact they have. But the fact is, there's at least 3 years worth of people who are here, have their citizenship and their PR. They have families. They have children now. Those children are going to be raised in a culturally Canadian environment, and they will assimilate into the Canadian environment.
Do you see it going the other way at all, though? Where like there's an influx of people from Punjab or India, and like They're kind of like reverse assimilating back to being more like Punjabi.
You know what? When they first come here, because it's so difficult for them to find success, because of what we talked about earlier with the institutions of education charging them out the arm and ass. Because it's so difficult, there is comfort in being in people who are like you, like-minded. Having community, that is a support. But eventually when they have children and those children in the next 20 years are like me, they will be culturally Canadians. That is the truth. I can't read or write in Punjabi Hindi. I can speak it, but I can't read or write in it. You know what I mean?
So 100 years ago,
We gotta get going
we
soon.
had this conversation 100 years ago. You and I, we were here, and that time it was the Italians who were the immigrants. There was way too many fucking Italians coming to Toronto with their weird foreign food, and now there's a pizza place on every corner. And now, you know what? That pizza place, that Italian culture that has become part of Canada, that's what you're talking about assimilating into. You're talking about assimilating into a culture that is already fully fucking diluted by immigration, successive waves of immigration. Show me one part of our society that is related to the fucking French fur traders and English.
Brampton.
We don't have that.
Brampton is, no?
What?
Not really.
Well, and that's my question. Like, does Brampton even look like Canada these days, or?
Yes, it's a country in Canada. That's what Canada looks like.
No, but if you go,
It reminds me of 20 years ago, 30 years ago when my parents first came here, and they were hard. Yeah, there's more of them, and and people are moving out. It does look like
the Jewish area in Toronto. Do you look at that area and say, there's Israeli flags everywhere? Do you look at that and say, this doesn't even look like Canada? Is that what you say when you look at that?
Scarborough.
Well, is it or not? Or are they part of Canada?
Most GTA areas.
Are they part of Canada?
I mean, they're here, but it's just like, I just feel like with something like Brampton, when you have like 20-foot monkey statues being put up, it's kind of like, okay, this looks a little bit more like India than Canada right now. Like, not gonna lie.
What about a synagogue then? Because the founding fathers of Canada,
Well, I mean, Jews are kind of like stateless, aren't they?
stateless?
I mean, they have Israel, but that's pretty new.
Sorry, is Israel a state or not? I'm confused. What's your position on Israel?
I mean, before Israel, Jews were stateless people.
But now they're not. So they have a state.
Yeah.
So, but when you look at the Little Italy, it's the same thing, my friend, as Brampton. It's a group of immigrants who came here and they didn't assimilate. They kept their culture.
Guys,
And now it's your culture.
One of the aesthetics is just closer to what you're used to.
yeah, I think there's like a difference though.
In the aesthetics, yeah, in the culture. There's a
No, there's a difference in a lot more than that, I think.
Skin color. It's a skin color.
Well, I mean, even attitudes around hygiene in India are quite alarming compared
Do you
to.
use shampoo?
Yeah.
Use shampoo.
Yeah.
Shampoo is a Hindi word. Do you use
That's ironic.
Do you use soap? Do you use soap?
That's ironic.
Soap is an Islamic invention.
Okay.
Hold on. No.
Alchemy, science.
But like,
Your argument is
Right.
Indian people are dirty. That's what you just said, right? Is that
if you look at statistics of the norms in India, it's quite alarming. Yeah.
No, we're talking about Canada though.
Yeah, but 40% of new immigrants are coming from India.
So your position is that Canadian people from India who are in Canada now are dirty and they don't wash. Is that what you're saying?
You're sort of oversimplifying
Tell
it.
me what you're saying.
I think that people who have come from India are like, some of them are kind of very disrespectful to the environment.
Okay.
I won't cherry pick on the people that have been defecating in public or whatever, but it's certainly, Canadians are alarmed when they see this happening in their country.
Hold on.
People who are
Hold
not
on.
respecting the environment.
Defecating in public is not an issue of the people, but is an issue of the infrastructure at large not having enough bathrooms.
Bro, are you serious? Are you serious right now?
Very much serious.
You don't think it has anything to do with the culture of India?
No, I think that when you sit
in public.
I think that when you
for
sit on the
non-smokers.
sand and you look out on the water, it's much more
Maybe not.
relaxing for a bowel movement. You should try it sometime.
So we should.
Meditate.
So
Breathe in.
so we should shit on the beaches
In the
more.
salt water
Yeah.
and let it flow out.
So we should shit on the beaches more.
I mean, you're not swimming there. There's too much pollution.
So
Even without the shit. I'd rather shit than swim there.
is it your position?
I don't think an Italian would agree with you.
I mean, I don't like E. coli in my water.
And neither do I, dude.
Right, so
So why are we shitting on the beach?
Because there's already E. coli there. Might as well use it what it's good for. If people are going to pollute the waters, if the pollution of the water
You see what I
is
mean?
coming from the
You
top,
see what I mean?
No, I don't know what you mean. I'm definitely on this side and not yours.
if the pollution of our waters and our parks is coming up from the top, why do we have to stop it? Like, why do I have to take a
Bro,
personal
use the
action to stop
bathroom,
it?
dude. Use the
They're all
bathroom.
closed, man. They all say go somewhere else.
Okay, let me just say something.
Okay, I gotta go, man. But thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you chatting. Honestly, I appreciate it.
Okay, so it seems to be your position that the reason immigration from India is bad is because Indian people defecate in public.
No, that's an oversimplification. That's an oversimplification. My main thing is the strain on our institutions, on our like systems, our social systems. People can't even fit inside the shelters. That's just one thing.
Okay.
But the cultural thing is also one as well. There's people coming here who are just like not respectful of our laws whatsoever.
So, okay.
And I'm sorry, I feel like that guy was a good example. He's like, there's E. coli already. What?
He must have been joking at the end there.
I hope so.
I think that the disagreement between you and the people who've been talking to you today is that you appear, without actually saying it like up front.
I'm a racist.
No. You seem to be blaming the problems of society on the actions of some immigrants.
Well, let's reframe that.
No, let me just finish.
Okay, sure.
Because and then I'm not necessarily disagreeing with the fact that so maybe an Indian person shit in the park. That has happened, right? But I don't blame. I know, or I believe, that the problem is not with the people. The problem is with the system, right? I think that we could have a system that was better, and then the problems like the healthcare system and the shelters would get better. Because if you stop all immigration, it doesn't solve the shelter issue. There's plenty of old stock Canadians in shelters.
Would it help contribute to that though? Like help?
I don't think it would, because our problems.
Why not?
The problems of our society are hard problems because our entire economic system is not as good as we think it is.
Sure. So let's
We can't
go.
afford to take care of our own society.
I agree with that. And when it comes,
That's why we need to have lots of immigrants come, because they have money and they support our economy and our way of life. We are totally dependent on a constant influx of immigration.
they need jobs for money, and there is a job shortage
No, there isn't. There is a temporary foreign worker program.
that incentivizes hiring foreigners over people who are born here.
No, if the people, the fact is there are jobs that you or I would not be willing or able to do because it's hard work and it's low paying, and our economy functions on basically a form of slavery, right?
Sure. So I like what you're saying in terms of it's a system problem. The system is a problem.
Yeah.
And you see all of these issues, whether it's the healthcare system, whether it's the housing crisis, whether it's the job shortage, whether it's crime. And what I'm just really frustrated with is, immigration is a public policy. It's a total thing that impacts all of these things. And so I guess to reverse it, why shouldn't immigration be talked about in conjunction with trying to solve some of these problems?
It's talked about all the time.
But usually only to do more of it.
No? Those laws.
Who's ever suggested to prevent or slow down immigration other than like Polyev? He barely talks about it.
Well, Polyev is the leader of one of the major political parties that represents a huge percentage.
Okay,
of
so
Canadian
well, how about yourself? Why not consider immigration to help?
Why not consider?
Slowing down immigration to help address one of these problems.
Well, I mean, I'm not the immigration minister. Like, it's not really. It's kind of out of my lane. Like, we can all have opinions on immigration, but really, when the rubber hits the road and you have to make the tough decisions, there is probably a lot of information that neither you or I are fully cognizant of.
Well, here's one. There might be up to hundreds of thousands of people who are going to stay here with expired visas. If we were to enforce the law, we would have to deport these people. That's just enforcing the law.
Okay, but we don't do that.
Yeah, and I kind of think that's a problem personally. Because now we're not enforcing our laws, and now it's like anyone can come here, stay on a visa, overextend their visa, and now all the systems are going to be negatively impacted because we haven't accounted for the people who are now here illegally.
So I get that that's your opinion, and it's my opinion that if you did that, first of all, it would not go like you think it would go. It would be really ugly.
Oh, I think it would be ugly too.
Yeah.
I don't think it would be. I don't think it would be a very fun thing at all.
And I think it would destabilize our society and ruin our economy. Because
so trying to remove illegal people would destabilize society.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we need the illegal people here for stability.
Yes. They do all the hard work.
Okay.
Did you really not know that?
Hey man, I appreciate your time. Thank you. I don't know if you appreciated mine, but I do appreciate it.
I mean, I stayed here this long, so yeah. I gotta go.
Yeah, have a good one, guys.
Okay, that was over an hour, Greg.
There you have it, folks. I was exhausted after that. My mind just felt like mush, to be honest. But if you enjoyed that, then please like, share, subscribe. I need to get back to working on my documentary. If you want to help support content like this, you can send me an e-transfer, gregwycliffe at protonmail.com. We will talk to you soon. Bye.
What's going on here? Are you telling people not to talk to me? Is that what's going on? I'm just trying to ask people what they think of the death of Charlie Kirk. Is this a good thing, a bad thing? Not a big conversation, guys, eh? Okay.